Hey everybody, what's up? Today we're going to talk about Valuk. He is an elite champ. He is a poisoner. He is a great option for queen teams, for tulpa teams even. He's a really, really nice poisoner, especially if you don't have a Santis yet. If you haven't been able to synthesize a Santis, Valuk is going to make your life a lot easier getting through some of the later stages of these dungeons where poisons and things become pretty necessary, at least in the current state of the game. So Valuk is definitely one you want to grab. He's also farmable. I don't remember which stage while I'm recording this, but I'll make sure I put something on the screen when I say that to tell you which stage he's farmable from the adventure. So you can grab you a Valuk and get a bunch of ascensions in him from the adventure mode. Now, champ drop rates from the adventure can be very hit or miss, but technically he's there. So let's take a look at his kit real quick. Talk about what he's got going on. He has a trait that's basically a passive. And 50% chance to counterattack with accuracy down for 1 turn. When he's ascended, it's 100% chance to counterattack. So basically, every time he gets hit, he puts accuracy down on the attacker, which then makes it more difficult for them to hit you moving forward. So especially if somebody's hitting AoE, the first hit you're going to have to take, but after that, he's going to do a pretty good job of giving your team a little bit better of an opportunity to not take the full hit, right? Not a bad passive at all. Again, especially in these dungeons where a lot of the bosses are hitting AoE, it can help your survivability a good bit. On his A1, we've got a 50% chance to apply poison for 2 turns. 50% chance on an A1, not so bad, right? He's not going to be the most reliable poisoner in that sense, but 50% on an A1 is not bad. He's going to throw up poisons more often than not, and we're going to talk about ways to kind of ensure that he gets more poisons up, okay? He has another passive here. When an enemy attacks an ally, there's a 50% chance to apply poison on the attacker for 2 turns. So now, again, the elites in the dungeons and the bosses as well, when they're hitting anybody on the team that's not him, they're taking a chance at getting another poison put on them. So you see how the poisons can kind of pile up by having Valuk on the team. And then we've got an ult here, 100% damage to all enemies. Damage scales with the number of poison stacked on the target. This is a cool skill. I would recommend that you turn this off in dungeons. Really, all you want him doing in dungeons is stacking as many poisons as possible. This is not going to scale to a degree that's going to matter in the later stages of Queen and Tulpa and anywhere else you might be using him. If you wanted to play around with this in maybe Arena, if you wanted to see how it scaled in some of the bounty hunt stages or play around with it in Void Tower, those might be the places for this. But I think everywhere else you're going to want to turn his abilities off, and we'll talk about that later when we're going through a couple of the runs. But basically, his whole bread and butter is just putting poisons on enemies and then making it harder for the enemies to hit you after they've hit him. Fairly simple kit, but very effective. He is part of my Queen of Tides team currently. We are working on getting a reliable Queen 12 farm, but we have gotten a few Queen 12 clears in that process, and he's a huge part of that team, right? So, excellent champ. Let's talk about gear. I am running a curse set on him, and this is one of the things I said I was going to talk about in kind of ensuring that he gets an opportunity to land more poisons. Curse set gives you a chance to get a bonus attack with the basic ability. So, with a 50% chance to land a poison, obviously 2 50% chances individually don't add up to 100%. But if we're going flip of the coin, he'll usually land at least 1. Very often he lands 2 when he gets the bonus attacks, right? So this is very handy. There's some other things you could do. If you have a counter attacker, this is more opportunities for him to land poisons. But I do like a cursed set on him. Revival set is nice to keep him alive in the later stages if you don't feel like you need the extra poisons. But I'm running a curse set. I managed to get some decent tank stats on a curse set. I'm also running a raptor set. So we'll click through the gear real quick and talk about the substats we want to look for. Of course, we want focus. We definitely don't want him missing poisons, right? If we do get that 50% chance to proc for us, we do not want to lose it based on focus. So you do want to make sure you get that focus on him. So of course, here we got some focus. We got some defense percentage. Basically, all we're trying to do is tank him up and make him land poisons, okay? You don't have to worry much about speed in this game for what we're using him for. So I don't know that we have any extra speed on him. It's still fine, right? Not a big deal. Here we've got some focus. We got a double HP roll. That's nice. Focus. You'll see a trend. We're going HP across the bottom. You can go focus on the amulet as well. I didn't get the rolls we wanted here, but you take what you can get in this game. Got weirdly lucky on this one. Got a triple roll into focus, which is huge for us. He will probably be wearing this ring for a long, long time. I can't imagine we're going to be able to replace that ring. I think I was trying to get this to 15 at one point because I'm trying to increase his survivability a little bit. I'm just trying to bump everybody's stats up for that Queen 12 farm. And then here we have to go defense. We don't have a very good Raptor pendant for him yet. Ideally, I want HP percentage. I don't feel like defense does enough for us. Anytime that I've made a swap, anytime I've swapped out defense for HP percentage to increase someone's survivability in PvE content, I have noticed a drastic change. I don't feel like defense is mitigating damage enough to justify it as a main stat on a piece. That's just my experience. I may be wrong. That's just kind of what I feel like I'm observing. So nothing here is doing any good. The only thing this is doing for us is completing that Raptor set and giving us that extra focus. I don't care about the resistance. I don't care about the crit damage. In a perfect world, this would be HP percentage with focus in the substats. I would settle for focus as a main stat with some good HP in the subs. But again, in this game, you take what you can get. So my recommendation for you is a curse set. I think getting those extra bonus turns from a curse set are invaluable, honestly. If you're struggling to keep him alive, then you can try switching to a revival set if you have it. The irony in that is that you're probably struggling to keep him alive in Queen, and you get curse sets from Queen. So cursed and revival sets from Queen. So, you know, farm the lower stages for a little bit if you have to, but I definitely would recommend cursed over anything else. Very, very early game. If you're brand new and you just got him and you definitely don't have any cursed gear, of course, Terra sets are good. Vanguard sets can be good for a little bit, but again, you're going to get to a point where I feel like defense for me wasn't doing as much as HP is doing. So Terra sets I would lean, Raptor sets I would lean. If you felt like you wanted a little speed on him, you could throw a Raider set on it if it had some good focus and HP stats, but and that's it. That's the general gist of it. Tank him up, focus him up, let him run wild. So what we'll do now is we'll jump over. I'll show you what he looks like in Queen, and I really think that's it. I think you'll get the idea of what he's for. I'm not gonna bother testing out his ultimate because I don't have him built for damage, right? I think if we wanted to really test this out, we would want to swap it around and build him for damage. And that's not how I use him, and that's not really what I think he's for. I don't think the damage that scales here is going to be anything notable. Also, it's worth mentioning that unless you have some poisoners setting him up for this, he has to set himself up for it. So it's just, I don't know. I would rather this be an AoE that places poisons, honestly. I don't know that I love his ult. And as in the way that it synergizes with the rest of his kit. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's just that you need other poisoners to make it worth it. And he can't really set himself up for it in any reasonable amount of time. So I'm not bothered by the ult. But we'll show you what he looks like in Queen. We'll show you the impact he has on that team. And that'll be that. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here. I might come in and talk over the run a little bit. Maybe I'll talk about turning off his abilities and stuff. But that's it. Otherwise, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope it was helpful. If it was, like the video. Helps me a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more of what I'm doing. And other than that, we're getting out of here. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. All right, so quick tip right out of the gate for Queen, if you're going to be doing something like this, is target the elite on the right and then the boss. You don't need to worry about the one on the left, but you need to get the one on the right out of there because it's a healer. You don't want the heals counteracting the poison. And then in the bottom, you see there, we click Valuk's picture, and you get that little symbol, that little cross-out symbol. That means he won't use anything but his basic ability. So if there's a check mark under their picture, they're going to use all their abilities. If there's not, and they look like Valuk, he'll only use his basic. That's what you want to do with him here. You don't want him wasting turns on his ult. You want him stacking poisons. So now just, I don't know, Rick, kick back and watch him stack poisons up. Enjoy.